How's it going, everyone? Mad Spartan here, and welcome back to the channel. We are going to be talking about Epoch of Pain, Science Tech Gate specifically with Path 1. I know that my first guide was for Path 2 with the Science and Tech guide, so if that's what you're looking for, that is in the previous video. But today we're going to be talking about the first path, specifically the Hulkling path, which was, I have to say, a much easier path than the second one, just because it was like a 2% damage cap, and I had to use Howard the Duck in it, and it was a mess. It really was. But this path, I actually had a lot of success with. I brought my 7-star. Obviously a lot of them are ranked up. My 7-star rank 3 Silk, my 7-star rank 3 Luke Cage. I really wish he was awake, but he wasn't. And then I specifically rank 2'd Prowler for this fight. So this node for this path, besides their other nodes, is Hurt Locker. So you're not able to do the same special twice. If you are, you get a delayed blast, which we will talk about a little bit later. I was recently educated in the fact that you are able to heavy to get rid of that delayed blast, which was a huge eye opener, which means Silk can pretty much completely bypass Hurt Locker in specific situations. I would say the best situation for her is if you did 2 SP3s back to back, because the SP3 itself does stun. You are able to get some good damage and then land that heavy safely. If you throw 2 SP2s, it might not work very well because there's no cinematic, like the SP3, where the timer will start on activation of your SP2. It is a generally long SP2, so I would just, if you're going to bypass Hurt Locker, I would recommend only SP3s on Silk, and for Luke Cage, I just followed Hurt Locker. So the first match is going to be Hulkling, which isn't that hard of a fight. His main thing is he does not take any damage unless he himself has 3 buffs. So you always have to maintain his regens when you hit him, or is indestructible. You only do damage through hitting his block. And if you have superiority, which I highly recommend going into this fight with a hero, because you do 100% increased attack. It's like 100% increased attack on specials. You have invade, so I think it's like 300% attack when you hit into their block. And like one other thing that boosts your block damage or something. And the main thing is he has his protection, which you have to get rid of. It's a whole thing you guys will see. You'll have to knock him down to get rid of it and time it with your special. So it takes a little bit of planning, but it's definitely not the hardest fight on this path, which we'll get into later. Which my hardest fight was on this path. But the main thing is to use a hero, because if you have a hero, you gain superiority, as you guys saw when I walked in. It allows you to have, instead of 100% increased attack, you have 300% increased attack into block, and when you throw your special into their block, it passively stuns them, so you're able to just throw it freely. So highly recommend using a hero. I'm sure it can be done with a villain, only a villain that has a special that he has enough distance that he can recover or she can recover. But I would just, play it safe. Luke Cage, Silk, any type of hero. This was the team I used, and it worked very well for me, with a slight problem with the Onslaught, just because I'm not very good against him too much. So as you guys are going to see here, what we have to do first is build up his buffs. So now that he has 3, he is going to be taking damage. As you can see, it's like 24 damage is nothing. We do also have to get rid of the protection, so we have to knock him down. Luckily, Silk can just combo into her heavy, and as you guys can see there, we do hit for like 400 into his block. That's not the main thing here. I think he also takes 90% less damage unless it's a special, so there's like a whole nother thing with that. We get rid of the protection here. He throws his SP1, not a big deal. We're going to wait for him to back up, hit into his block, and throw our SP2, and you guys are going to see how much damage it does. I wouldn't recommend just doing a combo, because you definitely have to watch the timer on the protection. And as you can see there, we took a big chunk of his health away. Now, with Hurt Locker, you are going to have to unfortunately alternate between your SP1 and your SP2, because the SP3 doesn't really work. So as you can see there, we do throw an SP1 here so that we are able to throw the SP2. Now, without boosts or anything, I think you have to do this rotation 3 times with a rank 3 Silk. As you guys are going to see here, I don't really remember, but I know there is an instance where you're going to throw that SP2. I think it is the next one after this one, where he'll have like 10% health or like 9% health, and you just have to throw the next SP1 and he dies. So the next thing here is we're going to get rid of this protection. You also have to maintain his buffs. As you can see there, we always make sure he has at least 3 regens. Huge damage into his block, 97,000 on that second hit. combo into the heavy stun so we can get rid of the protection whenever we need to. And then at this point, we're going to get rid of it and then throw the SP1 into his block. Now, there is going to be a couple instances where he has his protection, and unfortunately, you're going to have to throw his special into his block with the protection up, but it's better than having to throw an SP3 and then having to build up to whatever special you want to build up to. Like, it just kind of keeps things going. You're not going to do crazy damage, but at least you're going to do some type of damage. And of course, you can combo into the relic to make it so that you are able to time that getting rid of the protection, throwing the special into his block kind of maneuver. So I would definitely recommend holding that relic for whenever you want to do something like this, where it gets you that knocking him down initially will get you to that 2 bars, and he has no protection, so you can just throw that SP2. As you can see here, this is the big damage here. She is a hero, so she's able to passively stun him, which means we get kind of a free combo afterwards. Not that it does much damage, but it's kind of more of a way to constantly keep his regens up. His SP1 isn't too bad if he throws it, because it allows you to build up the regens a little bit faster here. And as you can see, we throw that next SP1. Doesn't do as much damage as the SP2, but of course, because of Hurt Locker, we have no choice but to throw it. If we were only able to throw SP2s here, this fight would be over a lot faster, but unfortunately, we're not able to. So as you can see, we're going to bait out this SP1 here, and I think we're going to combo into our heavy so that we're into the relic, so that we're able to knock him down, and then that'll give us our second bar. So as you see here, we're baiting this SP2. We're going to knock him down and get rid of the protection so that we get our 2 bars. So we have plenty of time, because, the worst thing that could happen is you knock him down and then you don't have 2 bars. So you have to kind of set up your own meter, and it's a whole problem. But if you do something like this, it's a lot better. As you can see here, we got so robbed at the end. He has 2% health, which I believe happens every single time. So there's no way to bypass it. I know that if I was probably boosted just a tad, even a 10% would probably get me past that 2% mark. So, if you guys want to throw on like a, like a 10% or something just to make it so you don't have to throw that extra SP1, definitely by all means do that, especially if you have 10% that are just expiring. Now this fight, I was going into it knowing that this was a problem. I originally tried this with Silk. This is attempt number whatever. I tried to use Silk on this. This fight was very, very long. Now, the main thing with this node is he doesn't really have that much, he doesn't really have nodes like that. Nothing that makes him crazy. It's just his regen is out of control, and you can't parry him. Because if you parry him, you armor break him, and then he gains all his Uru, and it's just, I gotta say, it's just a nightmare. So I would say, if you don't know how to fight him, that's crazy. If you don't know how to fight him, that's fine. And also, he does gain an Unstoppable, which is another part to this fight that makes it kind of stressful. With someone like Luke Cage, you are going to have to play into it. Now, I know most of you are like, I'm just going to use Silk on this. Trust me, it doesn't matter how good you are with Silk. There will be a situation where you're not able to keep up her debuffs, and he will regen like 15k and get all of his health back. Trust me, I tried it. I tried it a million times. I tried to make him work. It just did not work for me. So with Luke Cage, we are going to be fighting Absman the way you are supposed to be fighting him. And also, we're going to make it so that he doesn't gain his Unstoppable. As you see, we did heavy there at the right time so that we would gain the Unstoppable instead. It does have Brute Force, but to be honest with you, that's barely a node. He is going to constantly throw his specials. That's never a problem that you're going to deal with. As you can see here, we do back up so that we gain the Unstoppable. Not that it matters. It's just more of you keep him from getting it. And the SP1 is pretty much always guaranteed to stun. It's a certain percentage for every debuff you have on him, I believe. I'm stuttering. His SP1 is guaranteed to stun basically at this point, because you are going to be keeping up with those debuffs. Not to mention, every time you heavy him out of his forms, you are putting a I don't know what the name of that debuff is off the top of my head, but it makes the future debuffs like 50% longer. So it is definitely a good debuff to have. It stops the regen, so that's why Luke Cage is also really good for this. He doesn't have an answer for the Unstoppable, but he stops the regen, and he has full control of the fight, and he's super tanky. There's going to be a couple situations here, because he gains an increased attack for every debuff he has on them, that he is going to be hitting him really hard, even in Uru form. And when he's in Uru, his physical resistance is through the roof. So it's definitely something that we want to keep track of here. Now, there's going to be a couple things that you have to keep track of when fighting Absman, which we'll get into in a second. There's going to be a situation where he's going to throw an SP1, and then if you heavy him out of that, I'm sure everyone has dealt with it before. It's just something that you kind of have to get with experience. you know, if he throws an SP1 and he gains his Uru form and you heavy him out of it, so as you can see here, what we do here is, because ironically, this is exactly where it happens. He is going to throw his SP1 here. Now, instead of me heavying him out of it, you know, to get the damage, 9 times out of 10, especially in war with Mystic Dispersion, this isn't even an option. If he throws an SP1 and he's just under a bar like that, and you heavy him to get him out of his Uru form, 9 times out of 10, he's gonna get right up and throw his SP1 to gain back into Uru form. Now you're screwed. Not only did he throw his SP1 twice, I don't know if it works like that, but he is going to be gaining his stuff. You're also not able to take it away because it's still on cooldown from the first instance you got rid of it. So in this case, what you want to do is you want to, if he throws the SP1 and you see that your heavy is going to put him over a bar, I would recommend not heavying him as we do here. You combo him to bait out his SP1. As you can see, we do lay off him so that the heavy doesn't give him a bar. You know, we bait it out, hit him with our heavy, and 9 times out of 10, he does wake up very aggressive. So you are able to make sure that you are able to capitalize on that. And as you saw there, we did time the stun perfectly to be able to get the Unstoppable ourselves. So this fight is full control of the Unstoppable. As you can see here, obviously Brute Force has been hitting us a few times, but look, I mean, we have 78% health, and he's at 42% health. So obviously the Brute Force isn't doing much because Absman is genuinely more aggressive. As you can see here, we can heavy there because we have a perfect amount of time. I do cut the combo short, so I'm able to throw my SP2 and lay off him, so I get the Unstoppable. And just like that, as you can see here, it's a lot of planning. It's a lot of, like, thinking about what your next step is going to be. Now, if I said you had to break it down, you know, obviously watch the Unstoppable. That is the most important thing. Luke Cage does not have any form of stopping Unstoppable. But the main thing is make sure that when you get him out of his forms, you are able to capitalize on it. You don't want to knock him out of it, and then he immediately goes right back into it. At that point, it's a total mess. As you can see here, we time it so that we're able to get our Unstoppable. We do mess up there. That is a situation where you don't want that to happen, where you throw, you know, your heavy, and he immediately retaliates with an SP1. And as you can see, even in Uru form, we are hitting for 29,000. We're getting a bad rotation here because we don't want to parry stun him to gain the armor break, and then he'll shred into our block. We want to play, you know, a lot of intercepts. He is very aggressive, so you are going to be able to kind of figure out when the intercepts are. We heavy him out of it. You know, usually he's more aggressive than that, but because he's not in his Uru form, he is not immune to armor breaks. You are able to just parry him, or maybe he is immune to armor break, but he just doesn't gain anything from it. Maybe that's how that interaction works. But you can parry him when he's not in his Uru form. We do go for it here because I am very confident that we're going to kill. You know, we might not even be able to throw this special here. And as you can see, solo the Absman too. I was very confident about that fight. You know, I know that I originally was probably just going to go in with Silk and just have a 25-minute fight of it not going right and then eventually going right and just having a problem. And then next up is Idoom, which is another pretty fairly easy fight, especially with Silk, because of one thing in particular. So now, the way that this fight is made is that you have to heavy Idoom after his specials. After he throws a special, he is going to have a timer, which I think lasts for 4 to 5 seconds. And if you don't hit him with your heavy or knock him down with your heavy, I think specifically, he is going to basically take all your health away and you die. That's pretty much how that node works. Now, for someone like Idoom, that when he throws his SP1, he gains his aura of iron, just like regular Doom with his regular aura, that he's going to resist your heavy and basically slap you in the face. Now, Idoom has the same exact thing, so I would recommend throwing baiting SP2s, maybe if you need to. Now, the reason why it doesn't matter for Silk is because she can combo into her heavy. So there's 2 ways to go about this. It does give you a node, so you don't have to necessarily use Silk for this. That after you punish Idoom specials, you do gain a grit passive. And a grit passive, what it does is it allows you to hit unstoppable people as if they weren't unstoppable. So basically, for example, if you're using anyone like Luke Cage, just anyone in general, if you punish Idoom after his SP1, you now have grit, which means you are able to parry, reparry, throw your heavy to knock him down to get rid of the timer. But if you're using someone like Silk, there actually is no node. Doesn't matter because you're going to gain the grit from the node itself. So you can even have him throw SP1s here. But as you guys are going to see, I am going to be holding block to make sure he doesn't throw his SP1 just because I don't want to deal with it. But to be honest with you, you can go any way with Silk. Not only do you combo into your heavy for situations like the SP2 when you don't need the grit, but if he happens to throw an SP1, you are able to get right in there and throw, you know, your heavy as much as you want because you have the grit passive as well. So it's literally just a regular Silk fight that basically has no node. Because, you know, you're going to play her the same way you always play her. As you can see, that little gray timer there above my name, or below my name. We get rid of it with our heavy, so there's really no problems, especially if we're holding block to make sure he doesn't get his SP1. And we are going to gain that shock. I do have to say, it is not only a passive shock, it hurts. It hits for 900 a tick, which obviously that's not the main point of the shock. The main point of the shock is for him to throw his heavy and inevitably stun you. But, I mean, as long as you make contact with him again, you immediately get rid of it. So there really is no node to this fight. As you guys can see, it is a normal Silk fight with nothing nodes. You know, all you have to really pay attention to in this situation is Hurt Locker. So you just make sure to alternate your specials. I do realize later that you could just heavy it, which was mind-blowing to me. But we'll get to that later. So as you can see here, it's a regular fight, keeping him in the corner, holding block to make sure he doesn't throw that SP1, just because we don't want to deal with it. But to be honest with you, it really wouldn't matter either way, because we would be just gaining the grit, so we'd be able to hit him anyway. I throw the relic there to make sure I don't gain the shock, because I'm trying to let him throw this SP2, and he's just not cooperating very well. We are able to hit him right before the shock ticks, so we did save ourselves 900 health. As you can see, they're holding block, and we're not able to combo into our SP2 here. I do get nervous. There's a couple times where I want to throw it, and then right at the end I don't. And as you can see, I've already missed my window to get the SP1, so I just throw the SP3. And I know how the SP3 works now. For those of you that watched that one war video where I had no idea what the SP3 did, as you can see here, we are capitalizing on the damage here. Don't want to do too much damage, you know, because I just want to. You know, it's working right now. There's no reason to venture out. You know, there's no reason to venture out. As you can see, we have plenty of time. We are able to combo into the relic, throw our heavy like there's no tomorrow, and just like that, we're fine. We're fine. There's no problems. We did throw the SP2 here. I got a little nervous that he would get 3 bars, but we are just under that. And he is starting to regen. 1900 regen really isn't that bad, but as the debuffs start to fall off, it starts turning into 3000. But then once we get back on him, we're actually reversing his regen for like 166 a second. So we completely bypassed that regen. Could have thrown the SP1 here, but I wanted to bait out this SP2 first. We are going to do a full combo into the relic, and then do another heavy to make sure that we get rid of this timer so he dies. And just like that, we got rid of the timer, killed him. Another solo in the books. This path is turning into something amazing. And then we hit Onslaught. I gotta tell you guys, I can fight Onslaught. Just not as good as other people. I know that there's a trick to punish him after his specials. I'm gonna be honest with you. No idea how to do that. I tried it a few times. It works like 70% of the time. Maybe. I think I'm being too generous. Let's go with like 60% of the time. It's bad. And this fight can be done without punishing his specials. You guys are going to see here, this is exactly what the fight is. It's, number one, perfect dexing Onslaught at SP1, which is possible if you're good enough, which I can do that. Got hit with a heavy there, but I can dex his SP1 every time. What this fight is, specifically, what I was prepared to do was hit into his block, try to trigger intercepts when I could, and combo into something. That's literally all I wanted to do. We got a couple intercepts here, as you can see. I do speed it up because I'm telling you, this was literally... I know I just talked about dexing the SP1. That was the only time I got hit with that. Promise. I promise. On everything with this channel. That was the only time I got hit with his SP1. Anyway. This is the entire fight. This is what I planned in my head. I was like, because my cousin was there and my dad was there and we were all like playing whatever. I said, this is how I'm doing the fight. This is how I'm doing it. I don't care about anything else. It is going to be intercepts. It's going to be trying to get as much health down as possible. Dexing SP1s, willpower regenning. There's literally nothing else to do. Now we're in the corner here, but I am able to throw that cheeky light to keep myself alive. He's going to throw his SP1 here, and we are willpower regenning. 705 a tick. Boom. Boom. Dex, dex, dex again. We are in the corner, though, so I know it's inevitably gonna end us. He does throw the heavy, and I thought I could punish. I think he was baiting me because he knew what was going to happen there, and we lost. Not a big deal. 55% of his health. I got to tell you guys, I was probably fighting that guy for, it had to be at least 15 minutes. And then I realized Luke Cage was better. It didn't matter. Obviously, like, I'm still playing him the same way with, like, not punishing him after a special. I know I know I'm... What's it called? I know I'm handicapping myself not doing that. But Luke Cage was the answer there for the sheer reason that he gains the energy resistance every time he dexes. And I guess because Silk doesn't, in essence, dex, she doesn't gain the energy resistance. So, Luke Cage, full control, energy resistance, willpower regenning. Luke Cage is the answer there. It's just a lot of practice. But if you know how to punish his SP1, Luke Cage, 110%. I would put all my money on Luke Cage. Now, Jessica Jones. Another fight that I was kind of nervous about. Not really, though. The main thing is she has these protections over here. It has, you have to end the combo in a medium, and a combo, or hit her with a heavy, or hit her with a special. That's going to go around, and you're going to be able to get rid of one protection with one. It's going to go on cooldown. You have to do all three for it to reset. That's basically how it works. She has her own protection that I believe is knockdown. So once you knock her down, you're going to get rid of that protection as well. So you have to pay attention to all four of her protections. You have to pay attention to her unstoppable, and you have to pay attention to your specials so that you don't throw a special into an unstoppable Jessica Jones. Luckily, our Silk is awake, another character to annihilate this. But don't worry, if you don't have Silk, that's totally okay. Just like the iDoom, they do have a node built into this fight where if you punish her special attacks, you do gain a grit passive. And for the interaction that most of you are probably thinking of, if she throws a special and is unstoppable on that special, like during the animation, you can still punish her special without a problem. The initial hit of punishing her gives you the grit, which classifies as you hitting her, so you are able to punish a fully unstoppable Jessica Jones in her specials. So, with Silk, they're literally, I mean, I'm not going to say there isn't a node because you still have to worry about it, but if you're being aggressive with the heavies and having her in the corner, your slow is always up. You know, there is going to be times, I mean, inevitably she is going to gain her unstoppable, but like I said, once you punish her special, you're going to gain the grip passive, and then you can combo into your heavy to gain your own slow. So with Silk, you literally have two forms of stopping the unstoppable. As you can see here, I do heavy and then hit the relic so that the slow is on her, and then I throw the SP2, but unfortunately I didn't account for all of the protection that she has, you know, with that resistance up and all that. We do have to get rid of all these protections, so it is very annoying. She is getting close to her, like, complete investigation thing that she has, so she will start gaining not only unstoppable on her specials, but unstoppable on your specials, and the big weaknesses on your specials. I don't think they get put on for your SP3s, though, which brings me to my other thing where you could literally only hit this girl with SP3s if you wanted to. As you can see here, we do hit her with a heavy, and now she has no protection. We are trying to punish her after her special. I get a little nervous in the beginning, but don't worry. Towards the end, I am hitting her. We are going to throw our SP3 very soon. We just want to get rid of this protection first. And as you can see here, full control of the fight. There's no nodes hurting us. Jessica Jones hasn't even gotten unstoppable yet. You know, with the reduced combat power rate while she's stunned, we are able to basically go ham. We will have to throw another special, though, to get rid of this protection that is coming up. But that's fine. You know, cancel it into the SP1 to make sure to get rid of it. Because she's in the corner, she not only has the unstoppable, I did find out a little trick. It's not that I'm new to Silk, it's just not an interaction that I've ever really paid attention to. If you parry and then if you do your combo and then hold the heavy, the first hit of the heavy does your slow, and then you can throw a special and the slow remains on them, never going down during the entire special. And I know obviously getting her in the corner gets rid of it, but even if you're mid-screen, you guys are going to see that I'm going to throw my special, you know, while she's stunned from the heavy, and it stays there even if she's not in the corner. So it is a very cool interaction that I saw that definitely helps me. As you guys are going to see here, she's unstoppable, but we are able to punish just fine because of the passive grit. And as you can see here, we're going to throw another SP3, and then this is when things go off the rails for a few seconds. This is when I realized that I'm going to end up throwing another SP3 in a little bit, and in my head I'm going to be like, it's over. I already lost. There's nothing I can do. It's like I get over the SP2 mark, and I get to my SP3, and it's just game over from there. I get nervous, and then I get screwed. It was just so bad. As you guys can see here, she is on debuff immune, which I didn't know that she got. I guess either Jessica Jones has it or the Node has it, but it didn't matter because I just kind of comboed that into the Relic so that I was able to buy myself time to get rid of that immunity. And as you guys are going to see here, I am going to throw no special and then get to my SP3, and in my head I'm like, it's already over. I'm already done. She's going to throw that SP2. We do have to wait for the protection to go around so that we are able to cash it in at least. And as you guys are going to see here, I am going to throw the SP3 and I'm going to internally panic. I'm going to think in my head, it's over. There's nothing I can do. I'm just going to give up and just play no specials. And then that's when my cousin teaches me the craziest thing I've ever seen. That you can pause and check the nodes. I look like such a scrub right now. I did not know you could do this. And then I read Hurt Locker, and it says 5 seconds to remove it with an unstop, whatever. 5 seconds to remove it with a heavy. And in my head, I was like, I have never known that in my life. And I thought I was gonna fail. So I was like, you know, if this doesn't work, I'm just gonna throw my phone against the wall. It doesn't really matter. So I go for the heavy, and look, the blast went away. Now, obviously, most of you know that. I did not. I didn't even know that you could check nodes when you pause the game. I would just go in blind and never check nodes. If I didn't check a node, that was it. That was it. You just play the game. You play the game and you find out if you're good enough to get rid of these nodes. That was how I used to play. And as you can see here, now Hurt Locker is completely clear, so we can throw any special that we want. We do want to bait out this SP2 first before we throw ours, and then we reset the protection, and just like that, the game is pretty much over. For those of you that are just watching to see how the fights get done, you can fast forward here. There's literally nothing left here. As you can see, we are going to start punishing her specials eventually. That just waits till the end of the match, though. We are going to hit her with another SP3 here. Unfortunately, she does have 2 protections. But I know that we can get rid of it relatively fast. We get rid of one, double medium to get rid of the next one, another double medium, so that we are able to extend the combo. And then, for some reason, I just hit her with a heavy. I don't know what I was thinking. I think in my head, I was just like, the fight's almost over. We're in complete control. Why get off of the playbook? You know what I mean? Just do what you've been doing over and over again, and she will go down. Obviously, it's guaranteed because look at how far she's at. Or where she's at. Doesn't matter. We throw an SP2 here. Now, the reason why the SP3s are better is because when you throw the SP1 or the SP2, fully ramped up Jessica is putting 10 weaknesses on you. And they're like big weaknesses. So, you know, you might as well just keep throwing the SP3, especially with Silk that you can just so easily hit her with the heavy. There's no reason to do anything else. I don't even think you get weaknesses when you throw the SP3. So it's like, there's no reason to do anything else. As you can see here, we are killing it. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I'm almost done. In my head, I'm like, this is another path done. Now, in my head, I was nervous about the Ares. You know, he did very well. You know, he did very well. He killed me 1,000,000 times in the first path. But, he didn't do, you know, in my head, I was like, I think I've learned a few things. Now, this path made me rank up. I've run into the constant situation where every single path has required me to rank up one character. It's literally, and by the time I'm recording this, I've already done 3 paths, which the 3rd path will be coming Wednesday, that video. I had to rank up Prowler to rank 2 to do this path. I had to rank 2 my Deathless She-Hulk to do the first path, Prowler for this one, and then I had to rank 3 someone to do another path that we did. You guys are going to see on Wednesday. I'm not upset about it, but at the same time, it's like, I like Prowler a lot, so this rank up was fun for me. Did feel a little hole in the chest when I had to rank 2 that Deathless She-Hulk. I know she's good, but it wasn't time for her to be ranked up yet. Obviously, I had no choice. I love Prowler so much. Like, this character is so fun to use. He is so versatile. He's got so many abilities that help him overcome so many things in the game. He is amazing. And I don't think anyone gives him credit. He's got crazy immunities. Like, he is amazing. And sure enough, he can shine on this fight. For those of you who don't have Prowler, I feel sorry for you. Because this fight, joke. It was a joke with Prowler. You guys are going to see. For those of you that don't know, Jabari has a lot of complicated nodes. It's every 15 seconds, you get faltered or she gets faltered. If you're away from her, she gets faltered. If you're close to her, you get faltered. Now, the thing with Jabari is you don't want to falter her because if you falter her, when she misses, she gains 3 Hunter Sense. And then once she hits 10, she goes into the Hunt, which basically means you can't dex her specials. You're going to have to block them. And when you block attacks from Jabari, she gains 700% of the damage done as health, as you guys are going to see here. Another thing is, every time you throw a special, you armor break and heal block her or something like that, and you get staggered every time you are close to her, which you can use as willpower regen, but it's also a way to get rid of like buff characters, so it's annoying. And then when she reflects, when she shrugs off a debuff, she is going to reflect damage to you for like 10 seconds or something like that. But don't get me wrong, it's not bad. It's not a bad reflection, especially if you're using someone that can use the staggers to willpower regen back. Now, this scrubbed clean node is like a godsend. This is the node that gets you through this fight. Every 16 seconds, the defender gains an indefinite cleanse passive. Annoying. Jabari has her own. I don't know when it comes out. Just pay attention to it, because if you're doing like a 5-hit combo and you're about to throw a special, if you throw a special into her randomly generated cleanse that comes out every once in a while, just to see, like, just to let you know it's still there, you're going to throw that special, she's going to shrug that off, and you're going to get the damage reflection. But it's not that big of a deal, especially if you're using Prowler for this. If you end combos in lights, the timer resets. Now, I gotta say, you have to be extremely aggressive against this Jabari if you want to keep that node up. If she inevitably gets an indefinite cleanse passive, it's tough. I gotta say, you gotta get rid of it, but to be honest with you, I don't know. Yeah, I think you can get rid of it. You have to like purposely get rid of it, and then you got to deal with the reflection, and then you can get right back at it. It's annoying, but you can get at it. If you are super aggressive this fight, you're fine. And now, for those of you that have half a brain, you're like, but every 15 seconds you get faltered. Well, let me tell you something fantastic about this amazing champ. He's falter immune. I'm waiting for you. I'm hearing you guys through the phone or TV or computer. Exactly. You see where I'm at. Look, watch. I didn't start off very pretty because I realized I can't just hold block and bait heavies because she's regenerating all her health back. We gotta get a little bit more aggressive. We gotta get a little bit more creative. So you guys are gonna see here, it is in her face the entire fight. Ending combos and lights to reset that timer. Doesn't matter who gets faltered. It's actually better if we get faltered, because if we get faltered, then she doesn't, which means she doesn't miss, which means she doesn't get her hunt as fast. As you can see here, that cleanse passive came every time you dex, but there is going to be a couple times you like hit her and then you just get hit. I don't know what happens. We throw a nice juicy SP2 from Prowler. As you can see there, insane damage. It does have he does have the ability that every time they throw a special, they get power drain for the rest of their health. So the rest of their power. So every time she throws a special, she doesn't have any meter after that. So there is no like quickly baiting specials back to back. As you guys can see, she threw that SP1, she had a bar and a half. Now she doesn't have anything. So we are going to be constantly alternating between the SP2 and the SP3 for most of the fight. We are going to throw occasional SP1s. There really is no like indefinite like definite thing you should be doing. I would say the SP2 is probably the best way to go, because I believe the SP2 converts all of your Stalker charges, whatever they're called, into Big Furies, which increases your Ruptures. Now, another thing that makes him so great is all of his debuffs are passive. So she can't even, like, by accident shrug off any of his debuffs, because none of them are real debuffs. He has everything in his kit to counter this fight, and it's just perfect. As you can see here, we did have to throw the SP1 there to make sure that we don't get back into the corner, because trust me, that SP2, having to block it, she would get all of her health back. But as long as we maintain aggressiveness to keep the cooldown, keep resetting it, and we're in her face long enough to get a stagger, as you can see, 515 health that we're gaining back. I feel like you guys are starting to see the vision here. Doesn't matter who gets faltered. If she gets faltered, you do just have to pay attention to that. You can do a couple like cheeky things where you like throw a full hit combo with a light and then just immediately hit her again because she's still faltered. But that's just paying attention to like her hunt meter, because if she gets the hunt, she will hit you right through her falter. There's nothing you can do about it. You just have to kind of pay attention. So as easy as this fight is with him turning off 90% of the nodes, you do still have to pay attention to Jabari herself. Now, there was a couple times that I could have, in essence, ended the combo into medium. For those of you that don't know, when you end a combo into medium, you actually falter the character, and that, you know, that's how he gets all of his crap. But the thing is, I just wanted to maintain ending combos in lights to get that timer reset every single time. As you guys can see, it's just rinse and repeat. Ending combos in lights. You know, I did rank 2 him for this, so the fight would go a little bit smoother. I was more nervous about the amount of damage I would take, and as you guys can see, there literally is no damage. As you can see, we did have to parry that SP1 because the hunt was on for her. But as I said, and that's, I cannot appreciate it enough, the fully power draining them after they throw a special is huge. Throw that SP1 to get her back in the corner. She is in full falter. And as you can see here, just perfect. It's just perfect. Now, she doesn't play ball with that aggressive, you know, intercept there, so I got a little nervous. But fortunately, we were able to combo off it. Throw our SP2. Big burst damage. You know, the way his kit works is the ruptures themselves do damage over time, and then after they go around, they burst to do like kind of like bigger damage. The SP2 is definitely the way to go because for those little purple charges over there, the SP2 converts all those into Furies, which increases your ruptures, as I said before. You know, we are going to taunt her here with the SP1. It's just the utility that this champ has is crazy. Obviously, he shines on this path because he literally bypasses every single node. I do recommend specifically bringing someone for Jabari Panther. I feel like if you were to structure a team to try to take this path, there really isn't any characters that can like take Jabari like this. You definitely have to bring someone for it, whether it's Ironheart. I saw a couple Ironhearts on there, but none of them work as well as Prowler. Just for the simple sense that for someone like Ironheart, you have to keep up her tracking to be able to get rid of the miss. You know, it ends up being annoying. So for someone like Prowler, like, he's immune to it. Like, this is what this fight is. It's literally, you know, ending combos in lights. There is no node to pay attention to. You just have to pay attention to Jabari's hunt. But if you're constantly, like, intercepting and ending combos in lights and just, you know, taking your time, she's not even really building her meter that much. Combo into SP3s, SP2s, SP1s. You can do whatever you want. The SP2 is going to be your big damage. And every time she throws a special, she does get power locked, except for this specific time. Which I got, you know, not that it mattered too much, but she didn't lose any power when she threw that special. I think it had something to do maybe with the power efficiency that she has right there. But either way, she didn't lose any power, and then she threw the next one and lost all of her power. So in my head, I was like, ah, perfectly balanced. You know, she keeps one, she loses one. That's fine. We did have to parry that, which unfortunately heals her. But it's better than us dexing and getting hit. You know, I mean, look at how much control we have. We're willpower regenerating from all the staggers we get, and the trap that she gets every time she throws the SP1. You know, you get ensnared with that debuff, and it's just a simple way to keep your health up. Now, Prowler is pretty much going to end this fight with 100% health, and for those of you that are just seeing how this fight went, that's pretty much the end of this fight. There's really nothing else to it. There's no secret node that ends up coming out to bite me. You know what I mean? This is pretty much the entire fight. You know, land a couple intercepts here when we can, be as aggressive as possible, making sure that she never gets the cleanse. I mean, it could happen. AI is different for everyone, but she was never passive to the point where I was like, I'm not going to be able to renew this. You know, there is times, you know, instead of throwing the special while she's dashing in or something like that, or like, you know, making it so that you have to do your SP3 or maybe your SP1 to get out of the corner or something, you know, I always tried to make sure that we were at least over 50% of the way on the timer so that I was able to recover after getting up from whatever I was doing. You know, that's the most important thing here. You're definitely going to want to make sure that that cleanse stays on. She's faltered here, so we're able to hit right through her. I didn't want to end combos and mediums to falter her because I felt like it would have just given her hunt faster, which could have made the game messy. I think that's the only thing that makes this match a little, you know, different every time is she can get her hunt more frequent, she can get it less, she can get it in a situation where she's not aggressive at all, or she is aggressive and she pushes you into the corner. Like, there's a lot of things you have to take care of and deal with for this fight. But Prowler just kind of makes it a breeze. You know, now she has Hunt, so we have to make sure to, when she inevitably does throw a special, that we have to parry it. Or, you know, I mean, you don't have to parry it, I guess, but it's just cool to parry it. It shows you how good you are. It shows Jabari how good you are, and it, you know, it's kind of like a, it kind of boosts you. It's like a node. You know, it makes you more confident. We are blocking all of these hits. Because I'd rather, you know, block everything and just take those little percentages down with time instead of getting hit. And as you can see, we actually regened all of that health back. We are back at 100% because of how many staggers we are keeping up. Now, this is the lowest that the cleanse timer went the entire fight. There was literally no other situation where I was like, damn, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. And the combo into a light, into our relic. We are going to throw that SP3 soon. You just have to make sure that she throws this SP2 first. Get rid of the cleanse first, and then throw our SP3 here. And we're feeling pretty good. I mean, like, look at how good this fight was. If you don't have Prowler, off the top of my head, I know that Ironheart is a good option for this. It's just a lot more stressful because you have to keep up her tracking, which I'm not really familiar with how that character works. I'm just going based off the people that I know that used her. It's a lot of like making sure that you have the tracking up at all times, and then you lose it, and then she'll inevitably get the cleanse passive, and it's just, it ends up being a problem, I gotta say. Now she's at 1% here. We're going to bait out this SP1 if we can. And just like that, we got rid of Jabari Panther. It took a lot of hits. It took 439 hits, but we got that Jabari down. Now, this is the highlight of this road. We're up with Ares, and for those of you that don't know, because I realized I was thinking about doing this two ways. Whether you have to watch my previous video for my Ares guide, or I'm just going to do a Ares guide for every video. The first video, I do have to say, the one that says Ares guide in the title, is a lot more detailed than the one I'm going to give for the future videos. So for those of you that want maybe a more in-depth, not saying that we're not going to cover all the important stuff here. If you want like a more in-depth, where what I was doing in the first video was like when we get to a phase, I would cut it out and I would put the picture of what his phase does. We would talk about it a little bit, and then we would continue to the fight. For this, we're just going to go over all of his abilities, all of his phases, and we're going to talk about it as it goes. That's going to be probably the syllabus for all of the paths. So, you know, if for those of you that want like a more in-depth where we break it down piece by piece, I would definitely go to that first video and just kind of fast forward to the Ares part. So we're going to talk about his first ability here. His attack rating, his armor, resistance, his special attack modifiers, and build accuracy can't be reduced. He can't be reduced. There's nothing you can do about it. You just have to deal with it. Your special attack and critical damage ratings and multipliers, perfect block chance, and all that, they cannot get increased. They are stuck at their starting values. You're immune to grit, indestructible, death immunity, and immortality. That is right. He makes you immune to buffs so that you cannot use them on him. He takes no damage from damaging effects. It's another problem we have to deal with. When the attacker gains health, it's okay to use regen characters if you're okay with this, but I don't recommend it. When the attacker gains health from a regen effect, he gains 400% of the health that you would have gained as permanent attack rating. So that's annoying. Definitely annoying to deal with. I haven't used the regen character on him because I don't want to deal with that. But I guess you could, because if you play Ares correctly, you should never get touched. That's a whole nother thing. Every time you die to Ares, he gives you one passive pre-fight. It's this vigor buff, which allows you, basically gives you increased attack rating. That's pretty much it. He basically rewards you for dying to him, which is pretty cool. You can't use Hercules on this because he generates 1 bar of power every 3 seconds. So it's annoying. I definitely would not recommend putting Hercules on this. That was just how they kind of handled it. Ares' heavy attack cannot be missed, be evaded, or interrupted, but it can be punished. His heavy attack is annoying. It is a shield bash, and then he throws a minigun. It covers the entire arena and inflicts you with a suppression and wither passive. And they last 60 seconds, which is a problem because it stops your power gain and your combat power rate as well. Now, this is where Ares kind of gets a little tricky for those of you that don't know who he is yet, or for those of you that have just kind of heard things. During Ares' special attacks, the attacker cannot move backwards as a Spirit War cuts off all retreat. Basically, you get rooted during his specials. It's annoying to deal with, but it's something it's just something you gotta do. Both of his specials, his SP1 and his SP2, start off with a kick, and then that's where they branch off and do different things, which we'll get to now. The SP1 and the SP2 are completely different. They do have a somewhat of a similar pattern, but I won't say that because I feel like then you guys will get confused. But there is some similarities to the specials, but we'll go into that in a little bit. Sword strikes for the specials, you have to parry. Axe strikes for the specials, you have to dodge. Spear strikes for the specials, you have to throw a light attack. And for the minigun part of the specials, you have to swipe up or down. Now, for the minigun, that's only on the SP2, so you don't have to worry about that. If you do the correct action, it's kind of like the Grandmaster where you would get like a token or a ticket or something that gives you increased, that would inevitably would wound him and you do damage. For this case, you're basically getting an increased attack rating for the whole fight. So in essence, the way that the fight is made is that you are able to get him down eventually. There is no wounded phase. You're just basically doing damage to him. And the more you die and the more you go back in, the more damage you do at the start of the fight. So it's actually better that way. Failure to do so results in the attack landing no matter what. So if you're unstoppable or anything like that, you are going to get hit. The effects of his phases stack. So basically, whatever he gets in phase 1 or 2, he will get when he's all the way at phase 4 and 5. It's something you have to deal with. In the beginning phases, his specials are slower, giving you the chance to dodge his specials correctly. Each consecutive phase that you get, it increases by 7.5%. So basically, towards the end, his specials are super fast. You better know what you're doing or else you're going to get slapped around. Now, as I said in the last video, and I'm going to say in every single video in case this is your first video watching this, there is only one way to learn how to fight Ares, and that is getting hit with his specials a million times. I have failed to see someone that can do this first try without any prior knowledge, without doing anything. Even studying, it doesn't matter if you study it because you still have to know what you're doing. You still have to be able to recognize the specials. Now, I know that sounds stupid because in this video, I do fantastic. It took me, and I think I said in the last video, it took me probably about 15-something tries. I would probably say if I had to give a number, about 15 tries to really figure out what separated the specials and to be able to dex them majority of the time. And then after I fought him this time, it just started to get easier as I did it more. But I have to say, it took about 15 times of getting my teeth kicked in by these specials to figure it out, differentiate them, almost dex the whole thing and then get hit at the end because I forgot. It takes time. If you're having trouble with it, don't get frustrated. The fight is made to be difficult. This is an end game mode. So for those of you that are just like, I can't fight Ares, this is ridiculous, I'm horrible at the game. You're not horrible at the game. Think about it like this. Someone got paid a crap ton of money to plan this fight out. It is made for people that are at the end game. Think about it. You can only use 2 classes. It's got to be a team of 3. It's got to be 7 stars. It's the Eternity of Pains, which already need like a higher class of player to be able to beat them. Like, everything about this mode screams you have to know what you're doing in the game. So for those of you that are frustrated about this, that's fine. The only way to learn this is getting hit. That is how I would recommend it. That was how I learned it. That was how all the people that I know learned it. There's just nothing you can do about it. So don't get frustrated if you get hit. In the beginnings, I was annoyed too, but at the end of it, I knew like eventually I'm going to get this and then it's going to be okay. So that's all that really there is to it. Now you are going to gain vigor passives during the phases of dexing his specials correctly. And then at the end of a phase, he's going to take all those back, turn them into intimidate passives, which basically keeps him from attacking you. The more vigors you have over the course, the more intimidated he is, and then if you're lucky enough, he just holds block in the corner. When they go around, he gains unblockable, unstoppable, and indestructible for 5 seconds. Doesn't matter how many intimidates he had, it's for 5 seconds, so you got to dash back. But don't worry, if he throws a special while he's unstoppable, unblockable, and indestructible, you are still able to do the prompts and not get hit for it. So it's definitely something you have to keep track of. Starting off with phase 1, the attacker's health as a percentage cannot be higher than Ares. So basically you guys are going to see when we're doing damage and we have more health than him, he is going to degen us so that we have the same amount of health. It gets more frustrating when he's at like 1% health if you didn't kill him, and then you go in with like a fully healed champ. He is going to degen you all the way back up, all the way down to 1%, just so you guys have the even health pool. Now, the main thing with that is that's actually a blessing in disguise for those of you that can't figure it out. It basically means once you get him down to that like 30% mark, maybe 40%, you could use your level 1 revives. Come in with 20% health. You guys are going to realize that these phases don't have anything that make him difficult. The key to this fight is knowing how to dex his specials. Once you learn how to dex his specials, the entire fight itself is easy. Doesn't matter what phase he's on. I mean, obviously there's a little gray area. There's one of the phases where you have to like punish his specials correctly, but you can completely ignore that phase if you'd like. You're not going to get him down. I mean, you will eventually, but it's going to be a lot of heartache. You're not going to get him down if you don't know how to dex his specials, or you're going to use a lot of items doing it. Once you learn how to dex his specials, you can do this in one shot. The phases don't change how the character works. There's nothing different about him. Once you learn how to dodge both specials, the entire fight itself is easy. He doesn't have any nodes. Like, there's no path that gives him nodes. It's simple. Trust me. So phase 2, Ares will now throw special attacks while he has 2 or more bars. So now he's going to be special locked at power at SP1, so he's not going to be able to throw it. Once he gets 2 bars, he's going to be able to throw a special. Unfortunately, it's going to be a special 1 or a special 2, and it's going to use 2 bars of power no matter what. So there is no way, there is no trick to figure it out. In the beginning, in the first video, I was taught that if you pause it at the right time to see what he pulls out, you'll know, because the SP1 starts with him pulling out an axe, and the SP2 starts out with him pulling out his sword. Now, that doesn't sound like anything now, but when you're fighting him, you're going to realize it's kind of a little bit easier to figure it out once you see it in person. So when we get to that, you guys will kind of see it. So this is where the phase gets difficult. Once he hits 90%, it runs from 90 to 61%. You just have to pay attention to how the character moves. Fortunately, the time for the specials is still a little slow, so you are able to kind of get the hang of it eventually as you're getting hit with it. He is more closer than... the more closer he is to the corner, he is more aggressive. Not the end of the world. Phase 3 is where it gets a little frustrating, but like I said, you don't really have to follow it. He can only be punished after special attacks with certain things. It says here medium attack into light attack, medium attack into heavy charge, medium attack into special attack, and then dodge backwards into medium attack. So as you guys can see here, this is a very simple action. You don't really have to worry about it too much. And also, like, for example, I know most of you are thinking, how are you supposed to do a heavy charge or dash back and then do a medium? He is guaranteed to let you hit him. It guarantees the attack will land. There's no way around it. It's fine. If you don't do the prompt, like if you decide to just not punish him after his specials, they will renew and turn into 2 new ones, because after his specials, they renew. If you go in and fail, he will retaliate. He'll, like, block and then stun you and then, like, push you back. It hurts. Trust me. It won't kill you, but it'll definitely do a lot of damage to you. So for this phase, you can either follow the prompts, but if it gets to be a little overwhelming, like it's too much to think about, you don't have to do it. For example, if it's like medium into heavy charge, you can just hit him with a medium and back up. It'll be considering that you failed it, but once it runs around and it starts with a new thing, it's like the same character. So you don't have to worry about it too much. Phase 4, every 20 seconds he gains a haste, which, for those of you who don't know, when he dashes in, he's unstoppable. So there is no more intercepting him. The timer is paused during his special attacks, and while he's intimidated or indestructible, it is reset when he's struck during a heavy attack. So if you punish his heavy attack, it goes back to 0, so that's how you can kind of keep up with it, but it's not that big of a deal. You know, if you time it right with his specials, you know, it'll end up being kind of like lopsided, where like his haste will be running out and he'll still need like 10 more seconds to get a new one. I know it says every 20 seconds he gains a passive for 20 seconds. It doesn't work like that. Somehow, some way you mess up with the time where he's going to run out of haste and have like 5-10 seconds until he gets a new one. I don't really know how that works too much. I think it's because you pause it during his special attacks, so it never ends up being 20-20. You know, it's always a little off by a few seconds. And then the 5th phase, which is for some people one of the most annoying ones. I think the most annoying one is when, for the first time you're playing him, he alternates between the specials, but that's just me. A lot of people say this is the most annoying. Once he hits 1%, he gains 99 indefinite, persistent, or mortality passives, and then you basically have to do specific actions to get rid of them. At 3 passives, they're removed whenever any hit of Ares special attack does not land, so rinse and repeat. Dodging his special attacks correctly gets rid of 3, intercepting him gets rid of 2, and then starting a fight gets rid of 1. Once he has no more immortalities, you kill him, and that is game over. Okay. So we are going into this Ares fight. Now, I gotta say, when I was playing this, my dad and my cousin were watching me, and I was talking a big game. Not gonna lie. I was talking a big game. I was feeling myself a little bit. I said, it's not hard to dex his specials. It's not. I told him, you can differentiate the SP1 and the SP2 and dex it almost every time. And my cousin said, no, It's too difficult. I mean, obviously it can be done eventually, and he did. Congratulations to him. He is blowing through it now. But at the time, he was like, I don't think you can do it. It's hard. You know, it's hard to differentiate. And I told him, I can do it. I'm feeling it. So he was watching me, probably like 20% hoping that I would get hit by the special every once in a while. And I'll let you guys know, the look of satisfaction when I played this was better than any other feeling that you could have as a human being. I had my dad and my cousin watching this. Look, Dex, parry. Now, this is when it gets a little frustrating. Obviously, he left, and I felt like crap. Now, the problem with the first phase, in my opinion, I actually have not a good time with the first phase. Because in my head, it's so slow, you're going to mess the parry up sometimes. I messed up there. That's it, though. It's nothing but blue skies from here. Now, I kind of messed up the SP1 a little bit. I'm kind of getting a little nervous because I got hit, you know. But as you can see here, we are building up our orange buffs here, our vigor passives. Every time we do a correct passive, correct like action, we are able to build up our stuff. So now this is it. Now we're in the zone. We're dexing the special correctly, dexing the heavy correctly. It's very interesting. For those of you that want to see like my very first attempt, that was on the last video. I got hit a couple times. Parry, parry, light attack, dash back. For some reason, I don't know what I was doing wrong, or if it was just because it was the first phase. I was pretty much never able to punish him after that. I would always stay rooted just in enough time to dash. I don't know why. So we're going to bait out the special here. It's the same thing. Dodge, parry, parry, light attack, dodge. Dash in. That time it worked. I don't know what happened. What was different, but it was. Whatever. So, in my opinion, I don't like the first phase too much because I felt like the time is very slow. So I feel like the timing on your parries is a little different. I do have to say, though, they are very forgiving with the timing, where you could do it a little early, and it still counts as you doing it in the correct time. So they are very forgiving when it comes to this character. I'm glad about that because I feel like I'd have a lot more trouble, especially on the SP2, because one of them is you have to swipe up or down because it's the minigun. And the problem I was having was I felt like if I was swiping too early, I would get screwed. And then I realized, you know, we kind of noticed that I could swipe up very, very early and still get it. So that's kind of a good thing that we got here. So now we're in phase 2, if you guys don't remember. He is now going to be alternating between his SP1 and his SP2. He just got his indestructible, his passive, and all that. Now we have the SP2 here, which is parry, parry, light, dodge, dodge, swipe up. As you can see here, we did swipe up very early, and it still counts. So like I said, the timing on it is very forgiving. We are still a little slow here, where like the timing of his specials is a lot slower for us to learn it, because they know that you are going to be alternating between SP1 and SP2. It is very annoying to deal with, but it's not bad. So Dex, now we're on the SP1, which is parry, parry, dodge, light. You suck at this game, but it's fine. We got this. I didn't like getting hit with that. You know, I felt good. At least we're using Luke Cage. I gotta say, this man is tanky as hell. Parry, parry, light, dodge, dodge, swipe up. And as you can see, we did it very early. If I was a tad early, I would have been able to punish him there, but it's fine. It's not a big deal. You know, we just gradually, if you can basically consistently dodge, you know, you can build up your passives slower, you know, and then they kind of, it's not that they hurt you, but it's more like, it's not like he really wasn't made to be like soloed, because he takes away all of your passives every time he enters a new phase. You're basically starting from zero, but it's not the end of the world. You know what I mean? And when you're good enough, you're going to be able to do it. Parry, parry, light, dodge, dodge, swipe up. You can swipe up or down. I prefer swiping up. In the time of recording, I just finished my third path, and that ended up actually screwing me, but we'll get to that in the next video. Parry, parry. He does throw a lot of SP2s here, just by chance. I'm not going to say he's going to most definitely hit you with an SP2. It does alternate. And as you can see, at 252,000, we are killing him with this increased damage. And something that I wanted to test, because my dad actually wanted to use Luke Cage on him, is that you actually put the debuffs on him, which means you get the attack increase from Luke Cage's ability. From, you know, the more debuffs you have on them, the more damage that you do, which is pretty interesting because Titania wasn't putting debuffs on him when you hit him. But like Deathless She-Hulk was. So it was almost like each character kind of has their own property, whether they put debuffs on them or not. And we realized, you know, obviously you'd be getting the attack increase, so you can in essence use anyone. But Luke Cage himself wouldn't be gaining his attack increase if he couldn't put debuffs, which would kind of limit you, but it wouldn't be too bad. As you can see here, he does put the debuff, so he actually gets the attack increase from himself and also from Ares. Also, so we're going to throw this SP2 here. We are killing him, and now we are in the third phase. So as you can see there on the top, it does say MH, which basically means we have to punish his specials with a medium and a heavy. And as you can see here, we are still able to dodge it freely, no problem. We are able to medium, heavy, which allows us to correct the prompts. I think we get a vigor passive when we do those, but maybe we don't. To be honest with you, I really wasn't paying attention too much because I was just so happy I got so far, because this was insane for me, because I just got out of the first path where I died a lot to Ares. It was just learning the special. So in my head, I'm like, there's no way I'm doing this good. You know, we did get hit a few times. I'm not perfect. I'm not going to say I am. I was just saying I talked a very big game when I was going into this. Like, yo, anyone can do this. So obviously I got humbled, but my ego just went right back up as the fight got longer. So I guess I didn't learn my lesson at all. So with all this SP2 here, we are killing it. I just bit my tongue. That really hurt. Throwing our SP2 here. SP1, he's trying to trip us up. You could tell Ares is annoyed. He's annoyed he's not hitting us, and when he does hit us, we don't get hurt. And as you can see there, we did hit him with a medium, but I think I didn't have a special, so I didn't end up completing it. I did fail it, but nothing happens if you fail it. It's not like you get like a token of blunder or anything like that. There literally is no real punishment for not completing the prompt. My favorite prompt to get is medium light, because you are able to combo. Or dash back medium is another good one too. Because if you get like medium special or anything like that, you're not able to combo. Or like medium heavy is another annoying one, because you're not able to combo with it. You know, for this case, we're gonna have to hit him with a medium and then immediately throw him our SP1, which I think is stupid, because then we don't capitalize off the damage. We do have the relic though, so we're able to go right back into it. For those of you that are probably in my comments now, because I said it way too late, I do not use the Ant relic on Luke Cage. I just gave him a relic so that I was able to have it against Ares, because with how characters are made now, you kind of need a relic. You know, most of the time, like, the nodes are better, or like you actually need a relic. So I just kind of threw it on there. Not to mention, it's not bad to have a relic. So you're going to see here, we are going to dash back and throw a medium, and he's just going to let us do it. As you can see, he does get stunned when he tries to do an action, so the game is definitely allowing you to get that off. And we are killing it. We have 41 passives. Throwing this SP1, 141,000 damage on that SP1. This SP1 doesn't even do anything. So we are killing it here. The next prompt we have to do is medium heavy. And as you can see here, obviously it's a lot better if you follow the prompts, but you don't really have to. You know, I promise you really don't. You could, in essence, just medium and then dash back. And then he just, you know, he resets, and you could just keep doing what you've been doing. You know, inevitably, you're going to get him down with that damage. And then inevitably, you are going to get, you know, dash back. Medium is another good one. And then also medium light. Because once you get medium light, it's basically like you're regularly punishing a special, which means you can capitalize off that damage, and you can just build up your passives. As you can see here, 55 passives. He is going to take that all away, but that just basically means he's guaranteed to be passive. He has 58 of them. Each one do 5%. Each one does 5%. Oh, stupid. Each one does 5%. So basically, he's guaranteed to just hold block in the corner. I mean, obviously, there's always that like special case where he still dashes in. I used to get it all the time with Gladiator. And for some weird reason, I don't know how that happened. It was like with the concussion or something like that. He only gave us one prompt, which was the medium. So I was nervous. I didn't want to trust it, but I just said, screw it. I mean, we're already in endgame territory here, which I haven't done anything crazy like this. Because I was totally planning on not killing him here. Try to go for the punish, but we are too far, and now he has haste, which allows him to go unstoppable while he's dashing in, and he's going to be gaining 5% of a bar of power every time he throws an attack, which is, I think, all the way like in phase 2 we talked about that. Dash back, medium, SP1. So we are able to complete the prompts. Like I said, there really is no incentive. It's just more like slowing down the game. And like I said, the haste don't line up. His haste just ran out, and he still needs like 6 or 7 seconds to gain his next one. So, you know, with the pausing and all that, they don't ever actually line up like 2020. And if for those of you that don't really notice it, his specials are actually getting faster. So they pretty much plan at this point that you are knowing what you're doing with the dodging, and they pretty much just throw them at you. And then in this first and then last phase, oh man, it's a mess. It really is. Parry, parry, light, dodge, dodge, swipe up. And you can tell it's a really early one. You are able to do it. You have pretty much infinite range. We don't want to go for the intercept because he is unstoppable. We do bait the heavy. He doesn't hit us too hard. You know, I feel like his base attack is relatively low. I feel like his attack is going to come from hurting you during the specials of you not dexing them correctly. Because other than that, I mean, 300k on our heavy, like on our SP2, we are killing this. He tries to throw us up with an SP1 here, and we are just killing it. We did not have a special, so we weren't able to complete that prompt, and we just dashed right in. So in my head, I'm like, I think the solo's coming. Like, this might be it. This might be it. Bait the heavy here. We go right in. We are killing him. And as you can see, we're just chomping right through his health. And we've now hit the point where every time we hit him to get him below us, he is degenning us to make it so that we have even health. So all the way from phase 1, you guys can see that we are running into that issue too. We were able to hit him on the way up, so we were able to capitalize 500k damage. Crazy. SP1, I'm starting to like kind of draw a blank here. I do throw the relic so that he doesn't consider it like a failure. And now he's intimidated with 50. He gets rid of all of our passives, and now we basically have to start over here. So in my head, I'm like, all right, this is it. I mean, it's all dodging. He's being very aggressive though, so we do hit into his block a little bit to gain some distance. We're hoping that the the attacks kind of give him power. So we're gonna dash back here in hopes of baiting. And I blanked out. I blanked out. I was dodging so many specials. I'm telling you, the amount of specials that get thrown at you, you don't know which one's coming up. It's pain. It's pure pain. But we got him all the way down to the last phase, 1% health in one shot with Luke Cage. We gave him a Harlem beatdown. It was insane. It was great. I enjoyed it. I couldn't believe I did it. I mean, I was shocked. And then I proved them wrong that you can dex the specials just fine. But in my head, I was like, I can't believe I just did that. But I had to own it in person. I was just like, all right. I mean, yeah, obviously, I mean, it's me. You know what I mean? So we're gonna bait out this SP2 here. This is it. All the money. And we dodge it correctly. 14k damage. We got him down. Now, completing that path, I couldn't believe we got rid of we did that path. Now, completing that path, we did get a 7-star Science Crystal. So now in my head, I'm like, who do I want? I really wanted to awaken my Titania. For those of you that don't know, it's just, she's my girl. She has to be used. She's insane. I wanted to use her. I wanted 7-star Sandman because he's really good. Even though he needs the awakening, in my opinion, I still have my 6-star Ascendant or Awakening Spider-Punk. There was a couple people that I actually really wanted. And we pull Overseer again. He's 660. I mean, I'm glad I have him, whatever. But, like, dude, stop getting picked. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was very fun. Wait for the next video. It's coming up soon, and I'll see you all in the next one.